All right, has everyone got me there? Am I on now? All right, so we're inviting again. Copy URL. We're going to jump into Facebook real quick and paste this up. Hold on, everybody. I'll be back to you momentarily. Get this damn thing pasted up. Is anybody back on the... Come on, silly people. Come on, silly computers. So, to keep the conversation going while I'm doing this really annoying part of things, yes, we want properties from anywhere. And as a recap, I don't want the lion's share of the deals. If you're able to run a deal on your own, you will make more. Eventually, I only want to be the guiding post. But once you bring in a lead, we're shoulder to shoulder getting that lead done. This is completely not in any way you give me the lead and you wait. You can. You'll make a lot less. But if that's the way you want to play it, that's fine. The pitch to the oh good, people are rejoining. Awesome, thank you. The pitch to the groups, the pitch to the sellers, I should say. Kirk, welcome back. Sorry with the mix-up. The pitch to the all right, cool, Kirk. All right, so I'm getting everything turned back on again. And one more more location I gotta go paste it to. So the pitch to the sellers is this. Real simple. Hi, such and so, interested in your property. We are cash investors. We are cash buyers, and we are looking to help you make a good deal on your property. We are not looking to steal their property. It's going to sound really weird to say that, but we're not. We want to give a fair number, a fair answer at all times. We are looking to make profit, no question. We're looking to make profit. But we're not looking to steal their property. The pitch is always, hi, we're interested in your property at 123 Main Street, or be a little more generic and say, Kalamazoo, Washington, and we wanted to talk to you about that. We are a group of cash investors. We work only directly with sellers, and the letter is much more better phrased than this, but you're reassuring them that we're real, and you say our group has done over 400 deals nationwide. You haven't. Myself and my partners have. Plus whatever you've done. You can say that that a member of our team, and again, I have scripts for this. This isn't like you're having to write this. My member of our team is a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway. That name gives people a lot of reassurance. That's Warren Buffett. So people who really care about that crap, which investors do, commercial owners do, it lets them know it. But we are not acting as a realtor in this case. We want to buy your property. Now, those of us inside know that we have 3 different exit strategies for a property. The exit door goes to 3 places. And I think I'm sharing the whiteboard. Good, yes. The first exit strategy is to wholesale. Because chances are you're not going to bring me something in the region that I'm a realtor for. And chances are we're going to make more if we wholesale it. So there's that. The second exit strategy is we might actually buy the property. We or somebody we know might internalize it and buy it. In which case the agreement, which I will finally get out to everyone this week, has a fallback plan commission for you guys. If I buy it personally, you don't get shafted. Don't worry. Actually, you do actually better than it this way. We also do have a realtor plan. Because of my connections within Berkshire Hathaway nationwide, if somebody needs more out of a property than we can bring them, we are able to exit strategy it that way as well. And you still get paid. Your commission is preserved no matter what happens to a property. Your share, your involvement. Now it's actually a 4th exit strategy. Because this one's I buy it. The 4th one could be you buy it. Same deal. Except the agreement contains a flat rate to me because you're buying it. Now, what do we do to market the properties? What do we do with it? Where do we sell? First of all, as many of you probably don't know, I'm in the process of launching something, and this is another income stream for you guys, called the Real Estate Community Network. Real Estate Community Network, and here's the income stream. It's a social network for real estate. And you're going to say, well, gee, there's Bigger Pockets. Why the hell do we need that? Bigger Pockets isn't regional. Bigger Pockets doesn't care about becoming regional. They actually turned me down. I suggested it to them. So our forums, for a good example, are regional and state-based. So this is one area where you guys can bring people in, and when we eventually start charging a membership fee, you will get a percentage, the same percentage you get from any of our other deals, in here. Also, this, along with what we now call Wholesale Me Now, is going to become the investors' marketplace. We're thinking about, using the tagline, I got a guy, because we're not just doing properties. You need a title company, whatever, I got a guy. So this is where we put them. We put them in all the usual places too. We put them on Bigger Pockets. We put them on Connected Investors. But most importantly, we put them out to our always growing list of private cash buyers. And that's the thing that you will build. You will build your cash buyers list, and it'll be your list. I guess there's some collaboration because we might also utilize it, but it'll be your list. But we have a list of probably 4,000 cash buyers nationwide who we in our network have personally in some way dealt with. Now, have we dealt with them all recently? No, I'm not gonna lie. We haven't. But the point is we have them, and we're always looking for new ones. What sets us apart is we must always, and we are always, direct. You'll get a call from a guy, you'll get an email from a guy, and he'll say, yeah, I get this property. Okay, cool. You get this property. Show me your, let's do a non-disclosure agreement. I'm not trying to look up your skirt without protecting you. Do a non-disclosure agreement. Show me you got this property. Show me your contract. Black out the price. I don't need to know what you have it on. Show me you have the property. Oh, well, I don't. My buddy is direct to the broker. Okay, great. We're going to put ourselves all under a non-disclosure umbrella, and then you're going to show me, and I'm going to have the phone number of the guy at the top. If we're not on a same piece of paper between us and the person with the contract, we're not doing it. Because all it takes is one of these links in the chain to disappear or break or not be real, and it all goes away. The best way for us to deal is direct to buyer or direct to seller. Either way. We like having our own contracts. We will work with someone else who is. That's fine. When we do work with someone else, remember, it's all about the pizza pie. It's all about the pie. This is the buyer side. This is the seller side. If we're only on the seller side, your fraction is taken out of the seller side. Because whoever brings the buyer gets their half. And they can divide it up however they want to divide it up. Basically, our commission is protected because we work directly. That also means we verify. We get a call from somebody saying, hey, I own 123 Main Street and I want you to sell 123 Main Street. Great, no problem. We go through all of our process, and part of our process is we either look them up online, which is 90% of the time what happens, but if the names don't match, dude, can you show me, especially if you're dealing with commercial property, the name is 123 LLC, and you're talking to John Smith. John, I hate to be like this, but can you show me something you're the authorized partner on 123 LLC? Because, I can't get caught dealing something that isn't really right. And they'll respect that. If they're real, they'll respect that. If they're not, they won't. And that is the number one thing the Real Estate Investor Army is all about. Is we're all about doing things ethically. So, to recap, this is, yay, we have a new visitor. Hey, Cynthia, welcome. How you doing? Feel free to unmute or to say anything or to chat with us whenever you want. Cynthia, we're about an hour into it. I hope we recorded something, but if not, we're going to recap it. We did have some technical difficulties. But anyway, I'm just check the chat room, make sure no one's waiting for me to respond to something. So the always our number one role in the Army is to bring in new leads, or I should say your number one role in the Army, bring in new leads. Because everything we do is based on the funnel equation. We need the widest possible funnel and the most leads coming in so that we can bring them through the steps in the process. And I promise this week I'll be getting everyone their contracts out with their steps in the process. I'll probably do that tomorrow afternoon. And this is the process. Now, everything we do is controlled or tracked in Table 9. You will have your own password to this software. Nobody else in the group will be able to see things that are not in their column. Meaning, Cynthia, your leads will not be seen by Kirk. Kirk's leads will not be seen by Cynthia. I can see them all. And we walk everyone's leads through. Woohoo. I just realized you missed a whole bunch of that. These are the steps in the process. All of our deals are controlled. Sorry, I'm really bad at this technology tonight. Are managed through Table 9. So what will happen is a new lead will come in. It becomes a new lead will come in. That's just name and address. We've realized this person exists. We then take that new lead into first contact. That's where we fill out their forms. Initial data questionnaire, run numbers, so on and so on and so on, all the way through to where we present the sales contract, to where we present to the client, we get the listing, we do the marketing, we do the sales contract to the end buyer, whatever. If someone's not ready, we stick them in the tickle folder. Now, this is how easy it is for us to expand your marketing capability. We have a tool that we are the exclusive national resource for, where we can combine geofencing, which is where someone is, with their online search pattern. For instance, if someone has been to a bankruptcy attorney and then they went online and searched sell my house fast, we are their number one answer under the Google searches if they've done both of those things. We have a few other variations of that. We're certainly happy to work with you, and we can open that up in any market. Right now we're only playing that in a couple markets. But basically, this will be where you get where we work most of our deals. We have forms in here, and you guys we can create new forms, we can create new campaigns, we can do all things. This system can do outbound text messages and text communications. This system can capture our Facebook chats. This system can do auto dialing and do voicemail drops to people. This system can do a lot of powerful things to enhance your marketing, and as part of the army you have access to it. Very simple. We are here to help you expand your business and to help you grow your business. Anybody have any questions? Any directions you want me to go in? All right. So, whoop! Yay! Somebody has something cool. Let me figure out how to get over there. Seller financing. Good question, Raymond. We do everything. We do everything. We work with everything. That was actually exactly where I was going to go next. So thank you. We aren't just about cash buys. There are a bunch of different ways that we can help the clients, which of course bring us money. So seller financing would be when a seller is willing to hold some portion of the note. Let me just give you the sort of the universe of what we can do. We can do simple buy and sell. We can do note holding. That means we'll provide private lending to somebody to help them buy the deal. We don't actually hold a lot of the money ourselves. We usually bring in a partner, but we can do private lending. So you'll make a certain amount on the seller. You'll make a different number off your share of the private lending. Obviously, if there's two of them, and if you're doing both, then the deal gets bigger. We will do seller financing. We love seller financing. If seller is willing to hold any portion of the note, we are totally happy with that. Now, what I say by any portion, the seller might say, "Give me $5,000 and pay me off over whatever number of years." Awesome. The seller might say, "Just take the damn thing and pay me off." Awesome. The seller might say, "You know what? If somebody brings a bank mortgage for 80%, I'll hold the 20%. Awesome. Anything a seller is willing to do to get creative, we're down for it. There's also subject to. Well, before subject to, I'll get to assumption. Assuming a mortgage, which very few mortgages allow this, but assuming a mortgage means if the mortgage is 123 LLC now, the exact same mortgage will soon be the name of my company. We assume their position on the mortgage. This is done with the bank's full knowledge and understanding and approval. The bank looks at the new company and says, "Yes, we're okay with this company replacing that company, and we're good. Go ahead and assume the mortgage." Subject to is different. Subject to is a little bit of the dark horse. It's really the exact same thing as assuming a mortgage, except no one tells the bank it happened. In a non-assumable mortgage, basically, I make a deal with the seller, I take over title, I take over the property, it's all my property. I write the check to their lender, and no one tells the lender anything actually occurred. There are some risks there, but this helps you get out of properties that are upside down when they're not assumable. If the property owes more than it's worth, sometimes it's worth doing a subject to. There's also a sandwich lease, which is a terrific methodology for getting out of situations. A sandwich lease would work like this. Let's say the seller is kind of like a subject to, but doesn't always involve a mortgage at all. Let's say the seller is either has a mortgage or is renting to own the property. And let's say, or they'll seller finance it to me, but they won't let me assign that seller finance to anybody else. They've decided they let me. I'm the one they want to see the check from. In whatever way it comes out, the bottom bun is that we have to spend $500 a month to keep the property running. The top is we find the end buyer who's willing to spend $800 a month. Well, great. In the sandwich, the part we're going to eat is $300 a month profit. So a sandwich lease is just what is actually has to go out the door on a property and what we're able to get it for. We don't even necessarily, title doesn't always have to change when you do these creative deals. Title usually, but not always, change. Now, even when we do not change title, we always search title. Because even if I'm walking in, you've got a beautiful 14-unit property going there, there's lots of cash flow, it's great. We make a deal, I can take it over for $1. That's great. If I don't do my title search, I don't realize you've got a $14 million IRS lien against the property that I'm now responsible for because I just bought the property. This is why we always do our title search. The other avenue is, or one of the other avenues, there's unlimited avenues. Don't ever think this is the exclusive list of what we do. I've done things that you can't even imagine how it's hard to even describe some of the tricks that we've had to pull. But private money. People pull their money out of the stock market when crap like COVID happens. They've got a pile of money sitting there making 0.1% of interest every 20 years. How would they like to make 10 to 12% backed by real estate? Mortgage. Straight up. Simple. You know somebody in that situation, we can work with them. Any other questions? Anybody out there? Just jump in, guys, if you do. So, it doesn't matter what your lead is. Any of your leads will work through the Army and we will hold your hand. Whether you have a commercial deal, whether you have a residential deal, you have a lender, you have a borrower, you have an REO property, meaning real estate owned, bank owned. Those get tricky, but they can be done. It's very hard to wholesale REOs, but it can be done. Anything at all. Estates are great. Good question, Raymond. Do I advise doing sandwich leases remotely? Anything with the right due diligence is pretty much my rule. But anytime I do anything long-term remotely, I have to build in an expense because I have to have somebody boots on the ground is what it comes down to. The biggest risk anybody has in seller financing, sandwich leasing, any of these drawn out purchase options is will the property be what it was when it was turned over? A good example is I've got a 2-unit myself, and I've run it for years, and I know exactly what it is. And I know both sides are perfectly fine. They're, whatever. You can make anything prettier, but the point is they're both in great shape. And if I want 120K for this property, for example. You give me 30K, and you payment out the rest of it. My biggest fear is when I get it back, it's going to be a crapple. You're going to have let it fall down, the tenants are going to wreck it, their dog's going to pee in it, whatever. So I'll not have the income, the tenants won't be paying, you won't be paying. And then I'll have all these repairs. Whether it exceeds the 30 grand or not, I don't know. But what if you only put down 5 grand? Which is my bottom line for any kind of seller finance. At $10 a square foot, it doesn't take a lot for 5 grand to go away. So the remotely is only cautioned by making sure you have somebody willing to drop by every couple months. You're not talking a lot. You're talking every 3 months somebody, either walks through the property or at least knocks on the door and looks in the living room. Whatever you can see from the doorway. You can usually get a pretty good idea. So yeah, I'm fine with doing them remotely. But, there has to be some understanding of due diligence and of follow through. The other challenge in working remotely is every town has inspections. Every town has certain regulations. And the only person responsible to the town, at least in most areas, is the name on the deed. For instance, I'll get calls randomly from different health code departments of different cities I own rentals in that, you've got garbage bags piled up next to your house, please go take care of them. Reasonable expectation, not something I feel at all bad about the town with. But, initially when I was earlier in this game, I said, well, those are the tenants' trash bags, sir. And he said, yep, and they're your tenants, and you're the one who pays taxes to us, and it's you that's on the deed, and you need to make sure that it's your job to make sure this building meets our city codes, whatever you want to call it. So you have to realize that eventually, that at the end of the day, whoever's name is on the deed, the buck stops there. Now, if you've got a sandwich lease going on where you've said to the owner, hey, listen, we're not going to change the deed right now. We're going to take over the property, master lease it, whatever. Buck stop with the owner, except your agreement makes the buck come down one more stop to you. At no point does the buck stop with the tenant. You also have to realize that everything is great until it's not. And so we have to watch our agreements to make sure it's spelled out clearly. 1 is operational, and 2 is failure mode. The most important failure mode out there, and I use this in seller financing as well as many other things, and it's not always deed in lieu, but I'll use it as an example, is deed in lieu of foreclosure. There has to be some quick exit strategy if things fall apart. So a sandwich lease would say something like this. Here's all the wonderful things that are going to happen. He's going to pay me $1 million. I'm going to give him a house. Everyone's happy. We love it. It's terrific. But if he misses a payment, he has 35 days to make good on that payment and the payment that comes due in 30 days, or immediately 2 weeks, you're out of the building. Or what deed in lieu means is on closing, the day he's signing to purchase the property that he's seller financing, on closing, they're signing a deed. Okay, so on closing day, there is the deed from the seller down to my client. And let's just keep it simple that this is a seller finance deal. Let's not involve a third-party lender. There's another deed signed on that same closing day. We'll call this the happy deed. This is the sad deed. From client, right back up to seller. In case of breach. So, if client fails and doesn't make good within specified time, seller files this deed. Client might still be living there, but they don't own the property anymore. And then you might have to follow eviction rules or whatever in your county. But the point is, we always want to be able to revert back to whoever's money can take control of the property if things aren't going well. Whether that's a sandwich lease or whatever. So yes, I do them all over the country all the time. But there has to be an understanding of how to keep track. For example, and the last one, then I'll see if anybody else has any questions. I'm doing one right now, not 10 miles away from me. Obviously not remote, but whatever. And I don't think this person's going to succeed. I really don't. I think that she's dreaming, and it's going to come back to me. But, okay, fine. So she put her $5,000 down. We're paying off another whatever over the course of time. She misses, let's say she misses June's payment. She has till July 15th. Her agreement has a 45-day. By July 15th, I need June and July in my hand. And I need every month proof that she's paid her fraction of the taxes, insurance, and sewer. The things the city can take the property away for, or the things that can cause a loss. You always want to make sure you're protected. Especially in things where your seller is still somehow involved. Because it's your job. You and I are the experts. We're the ones with liability. There is no way if things go really badly and you face a judge, that judge is going to think the 68-year-old woman that you bought the house from should have known better. We should have known better. So yes, we are totally fine with any kinds of deals. And I've got a friend who, again, any other questions? Well, basically, I've got a friend who's made his entire business off of sandwich leases. Okay, so here's the deal: mobile homes and mobile home parks, and there may need to be a third Zoom. I got to find out why it's not taking my password because I just paid $25 for the service. Okay, so here's the deal: mobile homes are all right. So two of my favorite investing strategies. Let me back up a second. So tenants and toilets are the reasons people don't like residential rentals. You get tenants everywhere. Everyone has tenants. But the point is, when someone lives there with their family, you get the, well, there was this brown stuff in my basement, and I think it's mold, and my daughter's going to die now. I literally had a guy tell me last month with one of my clients' properties that his wife's eyes were bloody, and she had heavy breathing, all the signs of COVID, and he was blaming the house for it. No. So we like mobile homes. We like mobile home parks. I'm sorry. We like self-storage. We like mobile home parks. Personally, mobile homes are not my favorite. The problems with mobile homes, and I've done a few of them, is they're typically older. And they're typically not worth as much. You're not selling any land. They're legally a vehicle. They're not appreciating. Now, I don't mean your new 2000. Well, I do mean your new 2001s are still depreciating. They're still vehicles. They have wheels where they had wheels. But most of your mobile homes that you're flipping are 1970s, 1980s. So the value of a mobile home can only go down. It's like, and you can say, oh, I fully renovated it. I put in a new kitchen, I put in a new roof, I put in a new this. That's great. That's like telling me you've got a 1971 Chevelle, Chevette. You've got the Chevelle's a whole different category. That's an attractive car. But you've got a 1971 Chevette, and you put a new motor in it, and you put some new upholstery. That's great. So the buyer's saying, oh, so it runs? Putting a new motor in doesn't really make a car worth anymore. Mobile home parks are very similar to self-storage. Because in a mobile home park, the tenants, or I should say the residents, very often own the trailers. If you have some trailers that you own, fine, that's a different question. And so you don't have care, custody, control of anyone's living space. You're not going to get the 2 a.m. phone call if you own a mobile home park but you don't own the homes about a furnace being out. They're not going to complain that the roof is leaking because you don't own the roof. It's not your roof. So, and yes, you're going to have mobile home parks where you own some of the units, and that's, there's a more detailed level. I'm not saying don't do it, but you got to look a little bit deeper. The other thing you have to be aware of if you're buying a mobile home, either way, you're buying a park that owns homes or you're buying homes, is before 1980, it's either 6 or 9, I'm going to put down 9, there were very few rules on how mobile homes were produced. They were crappy, they were dangerous, they were full of formaldehyde. If you've got these older homes, especially back in the 60s and 70s, they are EPA disasters. You can't just call up your local junkyard and say, come get my piece of crap and tow it away. You have to do all sorts of other things to it. So the homes themselves can be a problem. But as investments go, the parks are wonderful. Because think about it. You've got parks with, roads and whatever, and you've got X number of lots. And each lot is $300 a month, let's say. You got 150 of them. All right. We'll make it easy. 100 of them. So there's your monthly income. Now you've got a tax bill of, let's say, 20. I'm sorry. Forgot this is times 12 monthlies. Times 12, 36. That minus a tax bill of 25,000, minus an insurance bill of 25,000, and if you're lucky, that's it. So you're making $310K a year. So if you take your 310, all right, and you know what? Let's take off let's take off 10%. Let's take off 20% for maintenance vacancy management. So, hell, let's take off 30%. 90K. So all of a sudden now, you're at 220K. 220K divided by, let's say your cap rate on that is, my favorite, 10 because it's easy. 220,000, and of course, so now you're looking at 102. Your value is 2.2 million. And what do you have? You have somebody mowing some lawns, and you have someone collecting some rents and telling people, look, there's a piece of dirt you can rent. If you've got sewer water that you own or maintain, slightly different, but the point is, this is why they're a good deal. Similarly, self-storage. If you think about it, you're selling basically the same kind of model. You've got hallways, and you've got units. And once you say to somebody, great, you get unit 1, 2, 3, primarily your responsibility, okay, temperature controlled, humidity controlled, you might offer some other things, but primarily you've got to keep the lights on and keep it dry. That's it. And actually, even if you don't keep it dry, they're supposed to have renter's insurance. But the point is, same deal. These are both high income, low stress, low investment. Now, and I'll roll into another one. But hello. Yep. As soon as this one goes away, I will do another one, and I'll post it back to the FB, and I'll also post it to the YouTube. But the last thing to realize about mobile homes and mobile home parks is they're relatively recession resistant. And this may not be the best way to do it. When business is good, people expand. They're getting raises, they buy boats, they buy RVs, they buy ATVs, they buy whatever, or they expand more. They're running a retail store and business is great. They're buying more crap than their storeroom can hold, so they rent a storage unit. They're buying boats and ATVs and all this other crap, so they rent a storage unit. So that's great. Mobile home parks aren't as much of a when business is good story, I'll be honest with you. But people always need mobile home parks. At the end of the day, mobile home parks are always needed because they're cheap. They're a cheap place to live. I call mobile home parks and self-storage vending machines, and I frankly call mobile home parks human storage, because it's a very low-end, cheap, simple way to live. Some of them are gorgeous. I'm not putting down them as a whole, but as a category, there's always a need for them. Now, we look at why self-storage is so great. Business is crappy. Business is closing. You've lost your lease for your building. So all of your inventory has to go somewhere. You're not going to walk... Okay, another link. Here we go. You're not going to walk away from your... I'm still here. I'm just trying to get this stupid thing to show me a link. Alright. Share screen, share screen, share screen, share screen, share screen. I'm going to put this up on Facebook real quick to all 3 channels if I find my Facebook link. Yes, here we go. We will take care of this, get this out of the way. Don't Panic Adapt now has a new link. That wasn't a new thing, was it? Oh. And manage groups. Real Estate Investor Army. All right, and we'll go into sure that's actually the right link before I screw something else up. Alright, Cynthia Brown, great, we're back. Sorry, thanks for bearing with us. I promise I'll get this thing fixed soon. So, as I was saying before, self-storage and mobile homes, when economies turn around, and believe you me, this one's about to turn around. Everybody here? They gotta store their crap somewhere. You lost your job cut back, whatever. You've got to leave your house or apartment and move in with mom. Whatever the deal is, you got to put your shit somewhere. Mobile homes. You lost your job, therefore you lost your house. You got to live somewhere with your family. You don't want your kids having to change school districts, so guess what? You're going to go find a mobile home park in the same school district. And you're going to take that mobile home until you figure things out, because that way your kids stay in the same school district. So mobile home parks are great, pretty much economy resistant. What's going to be a dangerous what's going to be a questionable, challenging category will be, frankly, everything else. After this, my prediction, no one knows, is there's going to be a dip. Obviously, everything eventually goes up, so whatever. We're probably here. COVID has certainly had an effect. But markets like Scranton, even the major markets, stores are going to close. Obviously, when stores close, owning a storefront is a strip mall isn't such a great thing. So there's going to be a dip in that market. There's going to be a dip in the stability of that market. There's going to be a dip in the stability of even the residential rental market. There's going to be a dip in that stability. I forgot to put my thing one other place. I'm just going to do that right now. There's going to be a dip in the residential rental market. There's going to be a dip in the warehousing market. Although I think my prediction is that's going to be lesser, because people aren't going to go back to buying in retail stores. They're going to continue buying from Amazon. So I don't think that market's going to get hit as badly. So when we're dealing with our sellers, we frankly have to be straight with them and say, listen, there's going to be a dip in that stability. We have to be straight with them and say, listen, this isn't a great time to be selling. We may not be able to give you as much for your property as we could have a period of time ago. But we never take advantage and say, doom and gloom and whatever. We always push our advantage, but we never try to hurt them. We say, listen, we think we can sell this thing for $100,000. Here's where all our minuses are, and this is the final number. So when I talk in terms of the Table 9 opportunities chart, and when we finally go right to the client presentation, this is when we're telling the seller what we think their house is worth and trying to get the listing contract. When we finally go right and we get to that point, I'm moving things one column further over because I'm not paying attention to myself. We're not simply calling them up and saying, hi, I know you thought your house was worth $4 million, but it's only worth $250,000. We're showing them why. We are showing them the comps that we created. We're showing them the spreadsheets that we did on that property. We're saying to them, listen, you told us it needed this, this, and this. Do you agree? Okay, great. Here's our rehab evaluator, or wherever it went. Here's our rehab evaluator. This is what we think it's going to take. you know, you've told us you're renting it for this. Well, here's our rental spreadsheet. This is how we evaluate your property. Boom. And then you're saying, here's where we're at. That will gain a lot of respect with the sellers. So, and that's mobile home parks, whatever. Now, your mobile home park guys aren't going to be as excited or excitable, your self-storage guys, because they've got awesome businesses. Unless they're desperate for some other reason, those are very easy passive businesses to run. Okay, any other questions? Just want to see what the crowd is looking to learn here. All right, obviously throw them in anytime, guys. So basically what I want everyone to do, because I know it's getting very late, is I'll stay going as long as you guys want, but I want to make sure that everyone understands what we're looking for from you. We will mentor you. We will work side by side with you. There's 2 or 3 people on my team at this end. We are not a big company. As you can see, I'm getting a lot of this crap figured out on the fly. I didn't intend to do this until COVID hit. I was going to be launching on a smaller scale and then pushing it out probably over the summer. So I'm a little bit backwards. I've been investing since 1997, full-time since 2009. There's probably not a thing I haven't seen. What we need right now, what we always need, what every investment company can never do without. Gosh, I keep doing that. We will always show our sellers the spreadsheets. We will always show our sellers the comps. What we need right now is number one important is for you guys to be ready and for you guys to learn from us how to bring in deals. Tomorrow's show is all about how to communicate with sellers, how to reach sellers. Reaching buyers is kind of easier, but we'll talk about that too. I will give you a link to our Ghost Ad scripts, to our seller scripts, to all of our different scripts and content. You can use it, you can not use it, you can adjust it. But the bottom line is getting the number of leads in the door. Because there's a very basic math that goes along with this industry. And, everyone has a slightly different version of it, but okay, you have a contract. You have a lead. Offer. Lead. So 100 leads, if you're lucky, will generate 25 offers to generate one contract. Now, one of our marketing methods is running more like 40 to 25 to 10. This is the one that involves the geofencing. I think upcoming, it'll still be 100 to 25, but I think the average is going to be 5 to 10, 5 to 7. And, community-wise, this isn't that great. This means more people are hurting. But for us in our business, this is great for us. Also, the reality is, Warren Buffett we will find more opportunities for value now than before. And basically what that really means is there'll be a bigger spread between what would sellers want. Here's their want. And while they used to accept this number, they might now accept that number. So we're going to gain in this spread. And it's important to understand what that means. And again, jump in, guys. I don't want to be, rattling on here past what you want or not on track with what you want. But let's say that a property, we'll do a simple flip number. Property going to sell, let's say a property is going to sell at 150. So it's going to sell 150. 2/3 of that is 100. Rehab of 40, let's say. Holding of 5, purchase of 5, selling of 5. And let's just keep cost of money out of it for right now. So 40, 45, 50, 55. 45K. And a wholesale number of 10. 35K. So our estimate says 35K is the most we can spend. So this is 2/3, this is rehab, this is buy, hold, sell, ignoring cost of money. This is your wholesale fee, 35K. If my MAO, max allowable offer, was 35 before, means I'd probably started at 30. I'd probably start a lot lower myself, but okay. That was then. 20 is now. Because back then I was okay getting to 35. Now I want to stop at 25. Why do I want to stop so much lower? Because the comps I'm looking at are from then. They're from before COVID. So we don't know if this 150 is true anymore. Maybe it is. We hope it is. But if we don't know that this is true, then is that true? The rest of the stuff we are fairly sure of. Now that's the other thing, is when you're looking at your ARV values, comps are always going to have a high, middle, a low. Your ARV is always going to be in here. I don't want to hear from somebody it could sell for as much to $240,000. Every market has a bell curve. Or every house has a bell curve. It could sell out here. It might sell back here. I want to place my ARV in here. Similarly, on my rental properties, if rents could be, let's say rent right now is $850. He's right now currently getting $850 on the property. Well, rents could be $1,400. And yes, I've seen gaps that big. Well, first of all, I don't pay on potential. If he wants to get paid for $1,400 a month, he's got to find a way to get that tenant up to $1,400 a month and consistently paying. I'm paying on what's actual. But, again, through the magic of COVID, and that's not saying I might not go like, oh, I'll call it 1,000, because I know very clearly I could get 1,000 for the house. But I'm going to be conservative. I hear from a lot of sellers, well, if you painted it and spruced it up, you might get $1,400. Well, yeah, if I spend money, I might get more money. Gee, I'm shocked at that, really. Had no idea it worked like that. But I'm not paying you for what I might do to the property. I'm paying you for what the property is right now. So while I might spin it up a little bit, if I'm sure the current value, if the guy's got a beautiful house, he's only renting it for $850, and I know the market's $1,200, I might give him credit for 9 or 10. But I'm not going nuts. But the bigger fear is going to be a few things. One, most people's job situation is going to be coming out of this. Temporary problem, I know. You look 5 or 10 years down the road, this isn't an issue. You look a year down the road, this isn't an issue. But you look a month down the road, it's an issue. 2, look after 2008. Certain markets like Vegas and Miami crashed. And the overall numbers that people were getting for stuff went down. This is why the guy on Flippin' Vegas started flipping houses and picking them up so cheap, because people were losing their shit. That's why he started his rental business, because he couldn't flip them anymore. He was stuck with inventory. The second thing coming out of COVID is not just going to be the ability to pay, but the second thing coming up is going to be what the competition is doing. Listen, I know, I'm renting some of my houses for, let's say, $950 a month. I know I can slash that to $7 and stay alive. So if I'm facing a cash crunch in my business, I might drop my rents on the same property. So we have to be careful here. Like, I'll probably take an average house. If it's an average, whatever house, he's getting $850 now, I'm going to base my numbers on $800. I'm going to protect myself a little bit, because I don't know what's going to come out the other side. And that's really what we got to realize, is there is a bit of uncertainty coming up. But we win as a team in all markets. Now, just real quick, guys, I'm not an expert in everything, but there's an old horror story about Henry Ford. He was on trial for something, or somehow a witness in something, and the attorney for the other side said, "Mr. Ford, what day is it?" And Ford's like, "I don't know." "Who's president?" "Somebody I bribed. I have no idea who he is." All these questions about daily activities. And he said, "Mr. Ford, it's clear you don't really know what's going on, do you?" And Mr. Ford said, "It's not up to me to know what's going on. But I have a row of buttons on my desk. On the other end of all those buttons are people with the answers." And that's what you have with me. I am partners with Scott Myers, among others. He personally is something like the number 46th largest self-storage owner in the country. So when I'm talking about self-storage, this is the guy I got it from. I've gotten partners like that in every industry. So that's the reason you're in the Army. You're not in the Army because I'm some dude out in Scranton. You're in the Army because I've been doing this since 1997. Any other questions? Any place I should go next, guys? We've been at this for 2 hours, so I know it's getting long. Like I said, I'll stay as long as you guys want, but I don't want to blow everyone's night up. So here's a recap of our next steps. My job is to get contracts. That's exactly where I was going next. So my job is to get you contracts, which will include, I want to do it in writing. I know I've said it. I know it's on recordings, but I want everyone to feel it in writing. Non-disclosures and percentage breakdowns. Now, all the percentage breakdown is going to say is you start at 30% and you go up. I'm not going to specify generically what everyone's things are. But you go up based on how much more work you do. If you feel you want to start off higher, let me know. Everything is done, and let me not just switch screens for me, let me switch screens for everyone because I keep screwing that up. Everything is done through REIA, right here. I am adding tonight a link, actually I was just doing that before everyone signed on, to lead generation form. That's actually what this screen is, in fact. In fact, this is the link. Not Game the Impossible Quiz. What the hell is that? I'm gonna actually change the name of that link right now. Let me give you a link for right now, because I just realized I need it. Hang on one second. Let me just pull it up because I cannot remember the name of it. I hate it when I do that. Right now, instantly, you can start sending your leads. Oh, sorry. The form is over here. I'm an idiot. Instantly, you can start sending your leads here. I'm going to set up a specific one for the Army. And without even realizing it, I already had. I've set this form up already, I just hadn't actually published it. That link is what's going to appear on this button. I'm actually putting that in as a redirect right now. Back in the day, I used to be a web designer, so I still remember some of this stuff. So I'm very happy you guys are... What the hell's this thing doing? I'm very happy you guys are here. I'm very proud to be able to help you. I'm very proud that we're going to be able to work together. What I'm going to cover in future sessions is sort of how we have upgrades. Oh yeah, that was one other thing. There are ways you can spend more to make more, for lack of a better term. Really what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to split advertising budgets with people. And you'll get a larger piece because you'll get a piece of everything the Army does. Just be aware it's there. I'm not going to push it. I'm not trying to sell you guys on stuff. But if you want to upgrade, if you want more acceleration, if you want more one-on-one attention, all of that can be done. Unless there are any other questions, I'm just going to set up this link real quick to match there. Okay, very good question. All right. Send me info on that deal. We'll see if we can still do something with it. Most realtors won't do assignable contracts because, frankly, they're smarter than that. They know assignable contracts are usually going to be wholesale deals. Doesn't mean we can't do it. It gets a little bit dicier. because we would make it a non-assignable contract with an extra contingency and hope we can sell it during the contingency period, but they'd have to... Basically, the only way you can do it in that case is one of two ways. Rather than doing that, I'll do this. So, a normal wholesale contract is the seller and the buyer, and I can't believe I put an S there, I need to put a B. And then there's you. You put a contract with the seller, or we put a contract with the seller, and it gets assigned over to the buyer, and there's a fee. Now, some states are getting sticky about how this is getting done, so a lot of times I'll call it a consulting fee. Don't care. As long as one of the parties has signed an agreement that the fee is going to be covered, whatever. Usually, this is the party. But, in the case of a non-assignable contract, there's really only two primary ways you can do it. Seller, buyer, you must buy the property and then resell it to the seller. Which in states with a transfer tax would be an extra tax here and an extra tax here. You're actually transferring the property over. And guys, I gotta tell you, I'm tired. I'll be happy to keep talking, but may or may not be better for us to do more tomorrow. But happy to stay on as long as you want, Raymond. I know you've got a lot of questions, and for anybody else as well. I'm just saying, we're going to restart the Zoom like one more time, but I don't want to kill everybody. So, this is called a double close. And this is where another place your people who with money can make money is transactional funding. Because technically, your title company cannot use this person's money, which is to be used to buy the property from you. Technically, this is a whole different purchase. And this money cannot technically be used for this deal. So to put round numbers on it, let's say this is a 10,000 sale, this is a 20,000 sale. So this person has $20,000 in escrow on the day of closing, ready to go. But technically, your title company can't use this. So you need to have $10,000 in place. Now there are people I have called transactional funders, and you can find some too, who they'll front you this 10 grand. And they'll ask for, I don't know, 10,500. No problem. Instead of making 10 grand, you just made 9,500. Tough shit. Too bad. Deal with it. There's some more costs in there, but whatever. But they just made $500 in a matter of hours, when there's no risk the deal won't happen, because this guy's money is already sitting in... Well, not no risk. There is some risk, but very little risk, because this guy's money is already sitting in title. The other way this can happen, and then I'll get to your question, is seller, buyer, you. The other way this can happen is the seller sells it to an LLC, which is then sold to the buyer. So basically, you will create that LLC, and then you will assign the rights of that LLC over to the buyer. Therefore, the seller has never seen an assignment. The person they've agreed to is the one that buys the property. But that means the buyer has to be okay with taking an LLC. Taking, more importantly, your LLC. The other way you do it, but you can't do it in your case, is if you knew who the buyer was, we would just write the original contract that way. Yeah, I think let's call it a night, guys. But Raymond, what do you mean by is that safe? If I think I'm reading your question right, safety is two things. One, deposit you can afford. And two is strong contingencies. My contingencies are usually partner approval, contractor, title, and title timer. No realtor worth their salt is going to let you get away with title timer. And almost no realtor is going to let you get away with partner. Title timer says, let's say it's a 60-day close. If I don't open title within 50 days, then the deal automatically goes away and I get my deposit back. But these two things are primarily what gives you safety. To your question of safety, which is also good, is if you write it direct to the buyer, it's safe as long as you have your buyer on a strong enough contract. It all depends what your contract is with your buyer. And we'll get into that. There's two kinds of agreements. One is I usually use a buyer's agreement. When somebody wants me to look for off-market properties, I usually tell them, yeah, I'll go do that for you, sure. Here's my buyer's agreement. I don't expect you're dating only me. I know this is a non-exclusive relationship. But if I send you a property, tell me immediately you saw it, then if you close on that property, you owe me $4,000 or whatever your fee is. And if you decide to make an offer on a property, you give me half of that up front. If you don't close on the property, I'll assign that half to a future deal. Some people give it back, I don't. I'll assign that half to a future deal. But you made a commitment to me. You're locked in. And if you make a contract, you put a deposit down, you're non-refundable except for title. Almost always non-refundable except for title. So it is safe, but from a contract standpoint, is it safe? The bigger question we'll address tomorrow, is it safe state law-wise? More or less, yes, but you call it a consulting agreement. What you don't ever want to be in a situation of doing is either fraud, obviously, or dealing real estate without a license. So the realtor is the one who's dealing the real estate. You're providing services, and your contract has to spell out the services you're providing to the buyer and what they're paying you for those. That's something else we help you with. But yes, you can do it, but as long as your deal with the buyer is lock solid. And depending on the state, depending on the title company, depending on the brokerage firm on the realtor side, your payment may not be able to go on the HUD. My broker will not allow me to pay a wholesaler or any non-licensed person on the HUD, the closing statement. So you guys are not going to appear on my, if we do an MLS deal, you're not going to appear on the closing statement. I'm going to get the check, cash it, and I'm going to mail you a check or whatever. Off-market properties, no problem. The title company will cut you a check directly. But your realtor may not be able to do it on paper, depending on state law. You're absolutely right to use a buyer's realtor, but it does get a little more complicated. The most important advice I'll give you about realtors, then I'll let you go, is find a realtor you want to work with a lot who gets what you're doing, and let them work with the other realtor. So you don't just call the listing agent out of a knee-jerk reaction until you're really comfortable. You want to find a realtor that understands wholesaling and that understands investors, and because they're going to work extra hard, and you're going to have to throw them bones. And what we'll do is when we find a deal in your market that doesn't meet wholesale criteria, referral fee or not, we're going to kick that deal, and we're going to take that deal and we're going to send it to your realtor. And hopefully your realtor is going to throw you a bone. And I don't expect a part of that bone because it's going to be a small bone. Share it if you want, but whatever. It's going to be a small bone. But more importantly, you're building rapport. You're saying, you know what? I was talking with this seller. It didn't work. Here you go, Mary. Here's everything I have on the deal. Go ahead and call the owner of the house. Or I just did it today. I was talking with a buyer. I don't do homeowner buyers. The guys were going through all these multis, and he's like, this is for my family. I said, dude, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not the right person for you, because you're going to care about the shape of the yard. You're going to care about things that I don't care about. I'm going to refer you to somebody who cares more about what buyers want than I do. So you want a very reciprocal, recycling relationship between you and your realtor. Alright guys, that's it. Anything else, please email us, get in touch. I will be in touch tomorrow. I'm really exhausted now. Send over information on the properties, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks. Bye.